Right now, noon, continued fallout from the child sex crimes case at Sun Prairie West High School. What a local children's advocacy group says staff should have done. Plus, President Trump revealing new information about what he says led to his falling out with Jeffrey Epstein. This is News 3 Now at noon. Thanks for joining us. I'm Josh Spreiter. Right now, calls for accountability are getting louder as parents question how the Sun Prairie School District handled a child sex crimes investigation. The criminal complaint says the district's HR department had previously investigated a tip regarding former staffer Robert Gilkey Meisegger's relationship with an underage child. The district did not report the tip to Dane County Human Services or police and eventually closed the investigation. A parent of a middle schooler in the district tells us he questions how and why this went on as his daughter is set to attend high school.
What happened? Why was it allowed to go on for so long and nothing was done about it? So I don't know how that's going to go in the future, but if I can avoid sending her here, I absolutely will.
The executive director of Safe Harbor, a local children's advocacy group, says anyone who works with kids in their profession must report any suspicion of child abuse and misconduct. The man accused of setting fire at a home on Blossom Lane in Madison is heading to trial. Earlier today, Vince Hildestad waived his right to a preliminary hearing. The court also entered a not guilty plea for him. A criminal complaint says Hildestad discovered he had Parkinson's disease and told investigators he wanted to give his cat a proper cremation. The fire left 5 people without a home. Police arrested Hildestad after he went missing for a week. The man accused of poisoning women in Rock and Dane counties will enter a plea next week in Dane County. This after pleading not guilty in Rock County. Prosecutors say Paul Van Dyne and his girlfriend Andrea Whitaker stalked and tried to kill women he previously dated with poison multiple times. One of his victims in Rock County testified during saying she spent 38 days in the hospital, partially paralyzed and losing her hair. He faces a $37.5 million bond in Rock County. Both Van Dyne and Whitaker are expected to enter pleas in Dane County on August 5th. A home is damaged after a fire on Madison's north side. Crews responded to Hollow Ridge Road just after, shortly before 9 o'clock last night. The fire department says no one was home at the time of the fire, but they did find a cat dead inside. They received calls about thick smoke and flames coming from the house. Fire investigators are still trying to determine the cause and assess the full extent of the damage. Well, we've been tracking the weather, and of course the final concerts on the square this season is being postponed today due to the rain outside. According to the Wisconsin Chamber Orchestra, the concert will now be performed tomorrow at 7 p.m. Blankets can still be laid out on the lawn starting at 3 in the afternoon on Thursday. And it's been a rainy Wednesday for us. Let's check in now on the First Warn forecast with meteorologist Jacob Montesano. The radar's still lighting up out there.
Yeah, plenty of green on the radar indicating that light to moderate rain. A few areas of some heavier rainfall indicated by the yellow and red, but most of the region, the rainfall is pretty light to moderate levels, and that's going to be the case throughout much of the day. So taking a look at the forecast throughout the rest of the day, might see some pockets of heavy rain, but for the most part, just going to see some continuous showers, and these may continue into the evening with some sprinkles possible tonight. But for the most part, tonight will feature fairly dry conditions, but again, those sprinkles are still going to be a possibility with dry conditions then once we get into tomorrow. Now, the other thing we're dealing with is some lower air quality. There's an air quality alert in effect for all of Wisconsin until noon on Thursday. I wouldn't be surprised if that does get extended, at least for parts of Wisconsin. Now, the rainfall that we've been seeing in southern Wisconsin has kind of kept the air quality at fair levels, but you can see further north at unhealthy for some to completely unhealthy levels indicated by the red. So again, the further north you're located, the lower the air quality is right now. And I would suggest anyone in the central portion of Wisconsin to just try and stay indoors for much of the day. Moderate level for Madison and then good levels for areas south of Madison. Now, although we are at moderate to good right now, we are going to see more wildfire smoke move into southern Wisconsin overnight, and that may continue for a good chunk of the day on Thursday. So right now, again, the air quality alert is in effect until noon tomorrow, but it wouldn't surprise me if it does get extended, as we're going to continue to see some wildfire smoke linger across our area into Friday. And it is unfortunate considering just how nice the forecast is looking beyond the air quality. So I'll talk more in detail about that coming up a bit later.
All right, Jacob, we'll see you in a few minutes. Thank you. A tsunami alert left people on edge in Hawaii and along the entire west coast overnight. One of the world's strongest earthquakes hit just off Russia's coast. Lines of vehicles stretched for miles in Honolulu, with drivers stuck in that traffic trying to evacuate. The first tsunami waves hit Hawaii early this morning, flooding parking lots and boat harbors. The largest wave so far was off the coast of Maui, measuring about 6 feet.
We're past the worst part of it. We're not going to see any impacts bigger than we've already seen.
Meanwhile, in Russia, powerful waves first crashed into their coastline, flooding homes, the largest as tall as 16 feet. And in Japan, people climbed onto the roofs of their homes as those tsunami waves hit the shore. The Justice Department is now urging federal judges in New York to unseal grand jury information in the Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell sex trafficking cases, citing high public interest. As Natalie Brand reports, it comes as the president is also revealing new information about his falling out with the late convicted sex offender.
He took people, and because he took people, I said, don't do it anymore.
Speaking aboard Air Force One, President Trump gave more details into his falling out with Jeffrey Epstein, who he eventually banned from his Mar-a-Lago club in Florida.
I have a great spa, one of the best spas in the world at Mar-a-Lago, and people were taken out of the spa, hired by him. In other words, gone.
The president acknowledged one of those workers was Virginia Gouffre, who alleges Ghislaine Maxwell approached her in the spa back in 2000 when she was only 16.
I was reading about anatomy and massage, and that's when Ghislaine came up to me.
Gouffre, whose family says died by suicide earlier this year, was one of Epstein's most public sex trafficking accusers. In a 2020 interview with Gayle King, she called Maxwell the mastermind of his sex trafficking operation.
She is a monster. She's worse than Epstein. She did things even worse than Epstein did. I would like to see Ghislaine stay in jail forever.
Maxwell is now appealing her 20-year prison sentence for sex trafficking to the U.S. Supreme Court and to President Trump, asking for clemency. The House Oversight Committee wants to hear from Maxwell, but a new letter from her attorney says she cannot risk further criminal exposure in a politically charged environment without formal immunity. A congressional spokesman says the committee will not consider granting immunity for her testimony. Natalie Brand, CBS News, Washington.
Maxwell's defense lawyer also continues to talk openly about securing a pardon for his client. President Trump has refused to rule that out when asked on multiple occasions. President Trump is also doubling down, saying there will be no extensions to his tariff deadline on August 1st. On social media this morning, the president posted the deadline will not be extended. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick said Sunday Trump is still open to conversations with countries following the deadline, as several push to make deals with the United States. Right now, a key local emergency response program is running a pilot test to see if they can expand their service range. Madison's Community Alternative Response Emergency Services, or CARES, responds to nonviolent mental health emergency situations. As of this month, the two-person team made up of a paramedic and a crisis worker have responded to 10,000 people. Earlier this year, a pilot program began in Sun Prairie to test expansion.
We'll run the numbers, see how things are looking based on the request for service and the needs that we're able to fulfill with that, and then determine if it's feasible to expand the CARES program to other communities as well.
CARES began in 2021 and continues to connect people to mental health resources and divert them from emergency rooms and jail. Its potential expansion comes at a time when national mental health resources face federal funding cuts and reductions. Coming up next on News 3 Now at noon, why the EPA is looking to revoke a study published years ago, plus how much a new analysis says tariffs could push up factory costs.
Increased tariffs could push up factory costs 2 to 4.5%, according to an analysis from the Washington Center for Equitable Growth. The researcher behind the report says companies with slim profit margins could resort to layoffs or even closures of plants. Higher tariffs, ranging from 15 to 50%, are set to take effect Friday on goods from dozens of countries. The Environmental Protection Agency has proposed to revoke an endangerment finding it published 16 years ago that found 6 greenhouse gases are a threat to public health and must be regulated under the Clean Air Act. Administrator Lee Zeldin calls it the largest deregulatory action in U.S. history. The EPA has used the finding to regulate sources of climate change causing pollution. The proposal must go through a long review process before it is finalized and is likely to face challenges from environmental groups. And no need to head to Italy this summer if you want a taste of Italian desserts. Krispy Kreme is unveiling a Passport to Italy donut collection. The 3 sweet treats are the tiramisu-inspired, cannoli-inspired, and limone delight donuts. That's your CBS News Money Watch report. For more, log on to cbsmoneywatch.com. At the CBS Broadcast Center, I'm Jesse Mitchell.
Here's a look at the stock report at the noon hour. The Dow's up 31 points, Nasdaq up 98, and the S&P 500 up this hour 13. Our Call for Action volunteers are in the building taking your consumer complaints and taking action on your behalf. Call for action at 608-270-2833 or submit a claim anytime at channel3000.com/call-for-action. The farm numbers are straight ahead along with the first warn forecast, and later on Live at 4, I'll have an early look at the weekend in the 608. Pam Yankey's still out of the radio barn on her Canadian Rockies farm tour, so here are your farm numbers. This afternoon, Southwest Airlines is now selling assigned seating fares. Travelers can begin picking their seats in advance for an extra charge on flights starting January 27th. Purchase options include the ability to select seats with extra legroom. Other flyers will be assigned a seat at check-in. The boarding process will also change. Right now, a passenger's boarding position is based on frequent flyer status, check-in time, and whether they bought a preferred boarding add-on. When the change takes effect, the airline will board by group like most other carriers. Now to your certified most accurate forecast in Madison. Here's First Warn meteorologist Jacob Montesano. Hi, Jacob.
Hey, Josh, here's a look at the 3 things you need to know. We're going to continue to see those scattered showers and thunderstorms today with some hazy skies over the next couple of days as well. But we are going to see dry weather from Thursday through the weekend. And we also will see comfortable temperatures. It's really just the air quality that will be the one negative in the forecast starting tomorrow. Now, we're still seeing that rain right now, mostly light to moderate rainfall. And this is expected to continue throughout the afternoon and the evening. Might see some pockets of heavy rain at times and could see a few rumbles of thunder as well, but the severe weather risk is pretty much zero. And as far as rainfall goes, we're not going to see a large amount of it, considering that rain will mostly be in that light to moderate range, so not too concerned about any flooding risks. Now, once we get to the overnight hours, still might see a few sprinkles, but skies will become partly cloudy later in the night. And then once we get to Thursday, we're going to see a lot of sunshine, and that's going to continue for Thursday and pretty much for the rest of the week going forward. Now, looking at Concert on the Square, now that it's tomorrow, it's going to be very nice, pleasant and dry, maybe a little bit cool towards the end of the concerts. And as I mentioned, potentially some hazy skies as we get into the afternoon hours tomorrow. Right now, that air quality alert does expire at noon tomorrow, but it may get extended. Now, right now, because of that rainfall, Madison and areas to the south not seeing awful air quality, but further north you could see the orange and red indicating that orange is the unhealthy for some level, red the unhealthy level, and that's the case for all of central and northern Wisconsin. So definitely just stick inside for those of you in the central portion of the state, although it is raining right now, so I'm sure not a lot of people are outside anyway. Now looking at the smoke forecast, we are going to see some more smoke move back into southern Wisconsin, which may increase the heat and the air quality to lower levels, probably in that unhealthy for some to unhealthy range later tonight. And this is unfortunately going to continue for much of tomorrow. Not going to see quite as much tomorrow compared to tonight. Also, we'll see some smoke move into areas south of Wisconsin. And then once we get into Friday, still going to see that lingering smoke across our area. So unfortunately, this is something that we're going to have to deal with over the next couple of days. And during this time frame, temperatures are going to be very comfortable. Now, throughout the rest of today, they'll be in the upper 60s to lower 70s. Highs tomorrow will be in the middle 70s. So you can see outside of that air quality, conditions are going to be just about perfect with plenty of sunshine and very comfortable temperatures. Now, temperatures will slowly warm up from there, but still going to see highs in the 70s, maybe lower 80s for the rest of the week. But a little bit more likely to get into the lower 80s to start early next week, but still very comfortable. We won't see the return of the warmer temperatures until the middle of next week, and that's also when we're going to see the rain chances increase again. But from Thursday through really the entire weekend, there is really no chance of rainfall with very nice temperatures. So let's definitely hope that the air quality does improve by the time we get to the weekend. Right now, it doesn't look too good for tomorrow, and we may see some of that lower air quality for Friday. So that, again, that's really the only blemish in the forecast for the next couple of days. So once this rain clears out, expect dry and very comfortable temperatures.
And I know other than the air quality, at least it won't be rainy tomorrow for Concerts on the Square for the final one.
Yeah, and at least we're not seeing those heat index values in the 90s that we've been seeing the last couple of days also.
It'll be a nice break. All right, Jacob, thank you. Well, News 3 Now will soon have an upgraded over-the-air signal so we can better bring you our local news, weather, and sports programming. Crews began work on Monday to install a new antenna on the Madison Community Tower on the far west side. Next week, another new antenna will be placed on a tower in rural Rock County. This new equipment will help to better get our signal into your home.
So a lot of the people with their antennas that they can't put an antenna on the roof. For an example, if you're in an apartment building, you have these little flat panel antennas. Those will pick us up a lot better with the UHF signals that are going through.
You don't need to rescan just yet. The new, more powerful signals are set to go live sometime early next month. We'll update you with more information when that happens so you can rescan. Right now, Starbucks is closing the door on pickup-only stores. Starbucks recently reported its sixth straight quarter declining sales at locations open for at least a year. At the roughly 90 Starbucks pickup locations, customers were advised to order via the app, get their drinks, and leave. Some of these spots might be transformed into regular Starbucks stores. Oreo and Reese's are rolling out two new treats that combine flavors from both snacks. One of the new creations is a revamped version of a 2014 cookie that used peanut butter from Reese's. The new version has Oreo cookie crumbs in the filling. The other new snack is a Reese's Oreo cup. It replaces the chocolate on the Reese's cup with Oreo's milk chocolate and white cream and is filled with peanut butter and Oreo cookie crumbs. Both will be available starting in September. Sounds pretty good to me. After the break, we'll see what Howard's working on in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
A restaurant favorite that you can make at home. Join us and I'll show you the step-by-step way to making it. And there is no tipping required. How many times have you been to a restaurant and had a dish that was so good that you said to yourself, I wish I could figure out how to make this at home? Well, if you've ever said that about Asian-style lettuce wraps, which are super popular right now, you're in luck. That's right. We've created a copycat version that I know you're going to love. We start by sauteing some ground beef with chopped onion and a bit of salt and pepper. After it's browned, we add some hoisin sauce, soy sauce, sesame oil, chopped pickled ginger, and minced garlic. We let this simmer for a bit so all the flavors come together. And as for where you can find the Asian-inspired ingredients, just check out the ethnic section at your market. Now all that's left to do is spoon this onto a leaf of Bibb or leaf lettuce, top it with some grated carrot and shredded cucumber, along with your favorite Asian dipping sauce. And you're done. These taste super fresh, and they're right on trend with all those low-carb, high-protein diets. To get the recipe for our Asian lettuce wraps, all you need to do is head over to our website. I'm Howard with Kelly in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen, where today we found a restaurant copycat way for you to say, ooh, it's so good. Isn't that delicious?
Here's Jacob with the final check.
Thanks, Josh. We're going to see that rain for the rest of today, but then dry conditions are in the forecast for Thursday through the end of the week, and it also will be very comfortable outside. Highs in the upper 70s to lower 80s. Unfortunately, we will see some lower air quality, especially Thursday and maybe Friday, but looks like that might improve for the weekend, and then we will see those warmer temperatures return for the middle of next week. But tomorrow through the weekends, hard to complain about those temperatures and cloud conditions as well.
Looking forward to it, Jacob. Thank you. Thanks for watching News 3 Now Noon. Coming up next is The Bold and the Beautiful. Our next newscast is live at 4, and you can always find us streaming 24/7 on Channel 3000+.